question. What if we reach a level of consciousness where we can be the open door, at least to some extent, even if it's not quite 100%, for the gift that our I Am Presence wants to express in this world? But we still haven't been able to heal and forgive the part of our psychology that makes us feel a very deep sense of loss, pain, and sorrow. How could we possibly inspire others if we need to put on a facade to hide the deep sense of loss, pain, and sorrow we feel in our hearts? How could we possibly preach a joyful message while an unhealed part of our hearts keeps suffering? Wouldn't we just do more damage than good to the cause of the Ascended Masters by being charlatans and liars like this? Well, yes. You could say, of course, yes, if you are putting on a facade, but what facade are you putting on, I would say? Because you have a phenomenon that I become aware of in this non-duality neo-Advaita culture, where they have these people who claim that they have been spiritually awakened, they are ego-free, they experience no self, they are pure awareness, and now they start teaching and they attract a following. And they will project the image that they have reached some ultimate state of consciousness. And you have several examples now of people who have claimed this, they've attracted a following. And then it turned out that they weren't actually ego-free because they had certain unresolved psychology left. They often call it the shadow, but it's really what I call subconscious selves. And, excuse me. So they start acting out and people start seeing this. And there are actually a few of them that have seen it in themselves and have been willing to admit this, that they were too hasty in declaring themselves free of ego. So I understand this. Now, some of them I would say maybe they just didn't realize that they hadn't resolved their psychology, but maybe others were deliberately hiding it and lying about it. So you can say, yes, of course, you could say that, that if you're putting on a facade and deliberately hiding something, I won't say necessarily you're doing more damage than good. Who knows? That's an individual thing. Because I think that if you come to a point where you have a certain sense of what your life plan is, and you can be an open door for your I Am Presence, you just have to express it. You have to express what you can express, even if you're not perfect. Even, you know, it's one of those things that are so pernicious, dysfunctional about spirituality, and I think it comes a little bit from religion, but it's just that in order to be a spiritual teacher or a spiritual person, you have to be perfect. But you see, you can't have this, I mean, you can of course, but I mean, it's dysfunctional to think that in order for you to dare to express anything, you have to be perfect. Because none of us are going to be perfect as long as we're in embodiment. It's just not the case. We're always going to have some human characteristics that other people can use to find fault and put us down. So what I'm saying is, I used to have this thought when I was young, because this was what I had learned in movements. And it's really projected throughout the whole spiritual movement. Like, let's just go back to Transcendental Meditation, my first spiritual movement. Started by this Indian guru, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And it was projected in the TM movement that he had reached not only cosmic consciousness, but unity consciousness, which was the highest you could reach on earth. So he was ego-free, non-dual awareness, enlightened, whatever words you put on it. But he had reached some ultimate state of consciousness. And I never met him personally, so I don't know really. But what I'm saying is, it's a very dysfunctional approach. It's a little bit like Christianity projects that Jesus was the perfect human being. Buddhism projects that the Buddha was the perfect human being, or the perfect being. And it's just completely unrealistic. You know, the way I look at it is, It's simple. You find the spiritual path, you're at a certain level of consciousness. You strive to raise your consciousness. As you remove these obstacles, the subconscious selves, the misqualified energies, there comes a point where the light of your I am presence can shine through your outer mind. And you can express something. That's not coming from your mind. You're the open door, as the questioner says. And at that point, you have to dare to express it, even though you still may have a lot of unresolved psychology left. Because if you don't express it, you're going to do what Jesus said in the parable about the talents. You're going to bury your talents in the ground. The talents is the light you get from your I am presence. You can either multiply it by seeking to help other people, you can bury it in the ground. And I have seen people, and I even had the tendency myself for a while, to feel, oh, but as long as I'm not perfect, I can't dare to express something. And that's burying the talents in the ground. And you know what the parable says. You won't get more. But if you multiply it by doing what you can at the level of consciousness you're at, you will receive more. And it becomes a positive spiral. You get better and better at expressing it. And as you continue the path and continue to work on your psychology, resolve more and more psychology, you become more of an open door. Now you may still have something left that isn't resolved, yes. But look at it this way. I mean, here's really the essence of what the person is saying. How could we possibly inspire others if we need to put on a facade and hide the deep sense of loss, pain, and sorrow we feel in our hearts? Okay, but why do you think the only way to inspire others is to hide your sorrow? What is the essence of the spiritual path? What is it we are here to, I won't necessarily say only teach, but certainly to demonstrate? We are all here to demonstrate what it is like to walk the spiritual path, right? And the essence of this is that you are in a lower state of consciousness and you rise to a higher state. You transcend yourself. So why do you need to hide your pain? Do you think you're the only one who feels pain? Do you not feel that there's many other people who feel pain? And so why do you need to hide it behind a facade? Why don't you be open about it and then demonstrate to others that you have this deep pain and sorrow, but you are working on it, you are working through it, and you come to a point where you have transcended it? Isn't that a fantastic way to inspire others? I mean, seriously. There is this, to me, the whole dysfunctional, well, let's not even say it that way. Let's just say we have gone through the age of Pisces. We are moving into the age of Aquarius. In the age of Pisces, what was the model of a spiritual teacher? He's up there on the pedestal. He's the perfect human being, the unreachable, unattainable goal. This was actually the false image that we were meant to overcome in Pisces. Therefore, it's even more important that we overcome it in Aquarius. You are not the perfect being. You are the example that others can follow. So, if you have deep pain and sorrow, that means you are the best possible teacher and inspirator for others who have that deep pain and sorrow, so they can see, well, if this person could overcome it, maybe I can too. And this is how I see myself. I don't strive to be the perfect teacher or the perfect guru. I don't claim to be the perfect human being. I'm constantly talking about all the things that I have gone through and seen in myself. And I don't think that I've overcome everything I need to overcome in this embodiment. Because I don't want to be up on a pedestal. If people put you up on a pedestal, you've failed. You can't relate to you. You've failed as a teacher. So, in other words, you are thinking right now that you still haven't been able to heal and forgive the part of our psychology that makes us feel a very deep sense of loss, pain, and sorrow. You're thinking that this is a detriment to your teaching. I would say it's an active It's a positive. It's why you can reach people who have that same deep sense of loss, pain, and sorrow. Whatever you have gone through in your life, whatever you have gone through, when you overcome it, it's an incredible asset for helping other people overcome the same. Because they see that you have done it, and you are not so different from them. So I would say, don't try to hide your pain behind a facade. Be honest and open about it and turn it into an asset for your teaching, so you can reach people who have that same pain and sorrow. It's just, this is what's needed in our age. That thousands, 10,000s, millions of people are willing to be open. And instead of trying to put on a facade of being this perfect spiritual teacher, you're just open and honest about yourself and saying, this is what I've gone through. And I have over the years met people, as I said many times, I had a fairly easy childhood compared to many people I met on the spiritual path. And I have met people who had a much more difficult childhood than I did. And I can see that I couldn't really help them because I didn't understand what they'd gone through. I hadn't experienced it myself. So I couldn't quite relate to them, and they couldn't quite relate to me. And I'm sure there are people who felt that, oh, he doesn't understand me, or he doesn't know what I went through. And it's perfectly true. So that's why I'm saying each of us has a certain range of people we can reach based on our experiences. And the people we can reach are the people who can relate to us because they see we've gone through the same. So how could we possibly inspire others if we need to put on a facade to hide the deep sense of loss? Again, don't hide it. Don't put on a facade. Just be open and honest about it. And if you haven't worked through something, then be honest about that, but then talk about what you have worked through and help people come up to that point. It's just, I think in the next 12 years, what the Master talked about is release of spiritual light. There's going to be so many opportunities for spiritual people to help others, to teach others, to be coaches, be healers, work on psychology, and do all kinds of things. But in order to really fulfill that, we have to realize that our biggest asset is our biggest pain and sorrow and challenges that we have gone through on the path. That's our biggest asset for helping others who've gone through the same.